Friday morning, the 21st of November. I've driven 8 hours to be here at the Broadford racing circuit. So I could sleep in my van overnight to be here ready for Friday morning practice. And I'll be racing a Harley Davidson Sportster. I've just got one last thing to do, that is put a Dow Racing sticker on. My memory isn't so strong 25 years ago, but the last time I rode here, I think, was in year 2000. I would have raced 125 in the 125 Grand Prix class in the Australian Championship, but I also did a few rides in the Aprilia Challenge, which was a 250 production class with Aprilia two-stroke 250s. So I know I raced both of those categories at some point here. So that could only have been 2000, and I can't remember ever racing here on any other bike since. So it has to be 25 years since I was last at Broadford. So this is a Harley Davidson 883 Sportster. The class started, well, it's now a 1200. It would have originally started as an 883 Sportster, but it's now a 1200. The category was racing in Australia in the early 90s and come to a finish in the year 2000. And then in recent years, it's been rebirthed. So there's a man called Eddie who apparently knows everything about these. So I'm going to interview Eddie later on and see if he can give all the background information. But these bikes belong to Ben and Sam Licchetti, who raced these bikes in the late 90s and then retired from racing and then had business and family commitments. And now in the last couple of years have rejuvenated their interest in racing and brought out their old race machines. And they've invited me to come and ride one of their spare bikes. And here I am. I'm a sucker for punishment, so anytime there's a race available, I'll normally sign up for it. So let's see how it goes. I don't mind, mate. Just lifting the rear ride height. A couple of mil, see if we can improve the handling a bit. It seems strange on such a compromised motorcycle to be looking for performance, but that's just the nature of racing. You're always trying to find something better. You never just sit and be satisfied with what you've got. That's 10 mil higher than you. But what you can do is try the halfway point where I was and put the 5 mils in yours.
I'm going to pull the shocks out from the other bike.
Oh, okay.
So I'll do it when they're on the...
Yesterday we had 4 15-minute practice sessions. I learned a bit about the bike and played around with tyre pressures, made some suspension changes. I went higher in the back, but that didn't really help the grip, so I just lowered it back to where it was. So just get on and ride it now. We've made the changes that we can and feels okay, I think, for what it is. It reminds me quite a lot of when I ride the old bikes at Goodwood Revival. So I've ridden like a Manx Norton, a Matchless, a Vincent, BMW in the Goodwood circuit, and you know, the grip and feeling of turning and things like that are quite similar. So I I refer to that when I'm riding these, but the power and the brakes is a lot better on these bikes. So it's somewhere a step above what I normally ride in at Goodwood. So today we have a qualifying session and 2 races, and then another 2 races tomorrow. You starting first? So here at the moment, Steve's pulling out the gearbox from Ben's bike because Ben had some gearbox issues during the race.
Yeah, he said it was jumping out the floor. So just going to have a look at the bolts and the shift forks and the shift drum.
Yep. Is that something you can see straight away, or you've got to strip it further?
We'll take these clips out. It's got like spring-loaded pins inside each one, and then we can just slide them out. It's just got a bolt here which retains it, and they're pretty easy to pull apart.
Yeah.
And they just slip out so easy.
Well, that's even better than my Superbike, because to do a gearbox change on my Superbike, you've got to split the engine cases. And here we have Harley Davidson Sportster, which no one would consider to be a racing machine, and it's got a cassette gearbox.
Yeah. So it's got the fifth gear, which is just inside, which is sort of pressed in there. And then we've got slip and clutch basket, front pulley. It's easy to access. So
Yeah, look at this. It's even got an STM slipper clutch for Harley Davidson racing.
in lightweight primary sprockets as well. It's aluminium that I have made in it. All makes a bit of a difference.
A roundup for today is had qualifying this morning. Put a minimal number of laps in because I wanted to keep the tyre good for the races. Got on pole position with a 103.1, and then in the first race I got a poor start because I actually never tried a practice start in practice. So I didn't want to like rev the bike hard and burn the clutch out or do something silly. So I just sort of got away sensibly and got into 4th place in the first corner. Then I ended up 2nd at the end of the race. And then it's a progressive grid. So where you finish in the race is where you start on the grid for the next race. So I started on the front row again in 2nd position, led every lap of the 2nd race. And that wraps up today. I'm sat here with Eddie Garner, and he, I believe, been told, has a great deal of knowledge in the sporties category. So I'd like to ask you a few questions, and you can, bring me up to speed on a couple of maybe a bit of the history of the category. So for me, the first thing I'm thinking of, when did the sporties class first materialise and become a racing category in Australia?
Yeah, in 1990 we started in Australia. They started similar time in the States, and it used to be called Super Twins, and we're originally 883cc. The factory used to supply 3 brand new bikes each year for the winners of C grade, B grade and A grade. Mm-hmm. So of course that attracted a lot of people, from Lenny Willing to Warren Fraser's team, and it was terrific. We had big fields. We ended up doing support races at the MotoGP and at World Superbikes at Phillip Island and what have you, and we would have 30 or 40 bikes on the grid. So we rebooted it in 2020 in time for COVID and now we've been going for 5 years again. So now we're getting good grids, and by the way, thanks for coming and joining us, mate. Bloody, it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It is. I'm enjoying myself. I've known of the class because when I first started racing Australian Championship, I was on a 125 in 2000. So just on that last year of it racing in the Australian Championship in 2000 was my first year in the Australian Championship. Okay. So I knew of the sporties, but then, as you said, it died out. And now today we're racing it with a 1200 engine. What's your opinion or feeling of why it's gone to a 1200? Is there any reason, or is it? Can you explain to me a bit more about why it went from 883 to 1200?
Well, they also changed the capacity in America. So, and because they're identical bikes, just with simply bigger pistons, it was a natural progression. Still very much the same format as 1990, except the 1200s.
Yeah, and I think the 883 you could rev the hell out of that and not have much problems with mechanical failures. Where when you go to the big pistons, the big cylinders, you're making a lot more torque. And I feel like maybe there's a little bit more mechanical failures come when you do that. Is that right, or have I?
Well, you can if you because you get a choice of camshafts also, and so some folks go for a little bit more compression. But the fact is, with 9-to-1 or even up to 10-to-1, they're all very similar. And I think you could put just about every bike in the field on the dyno, and they'd be within a few horsepower of each other. So it's really more about rider skill.
And do you feel like, obviously being there in the 90s when these were a major class in the Australian Championship, do you see the bikes are still following that purity of the class now as they did then, or have they moved on? Are they running different parts, different components, or would you say they very much mirror what they were right back in the beginning?
Yeah, you are correct. They very much mirror the same specs as what we had down then, apart from being 1200s, because of course they're still twin shocks, same suspension, so that worked. And we still stick to the same format though. It's like a super stock with a modified air filter, exhaust, and you know, you get a choice of footrest and handlebars, but they're still the same wheel sizes, 16-inch and 19-inch. And because of the twin shock format, you know, they're very similar to what we raced all those years ago, and they're still very even.
Yeah, I think it's great that the category all these years later is still very much pure as it was when it first started, and the things haven't, even though technology has moved on, there's probably better equipment available for modern bikes. These have stayed as they were, and they are great fun to race. I've just gone out there then in damp conditions, and we were lapping the same speed we were in the dry, so that took me by surprise. They're so well balanced for all the conditions, and yeah, it's a great fun category, and I guess where do you see you know, the potential of the class to continue? Are you trying to build numbers, or are you just hoping to make the class carry on for years to come, or what's the idea?
We will continue the similar format. Last year we took a container of bikes and raced at the Sound of Thunder in Christchurch. We took 16 Sporties and Buells. They absolutely loved it. We've raced in Darwin. We've raced, our national series is Morgan Park, South Australia, Phillip Island, Broadford, Eastern Creek, and One Raceway for next year. So we've already got the dates.
Finally, there's obviously quite a lot of the older guys that were racing in the 90s have come back to continue racing again now. Are you encouraging, or are you able to encourage many of the younger guys to join the class that wouldn't really know about the class from its original days?
Oh, yes, indeed. And we're always on the lookout for new people. There's one great fella here, Paul Makepeace, and last night I did a deal with him to supply a Buell for his son for next year. So I just give him the bike and he'll run it all year. And, you know, so we're encouraging up and comers, but you're right, there's a lot of more mature riders that are still having a hell of a lot of fun. But because it's reasonably cheap, there's only 6 rounds a year. Yeah. It's an affordable hobby. Yeah. And someone called it men's shed on wheels. It's not quite that, but it is a great social outlet. And the camaraderie is just fabulous between all the boys and girls. It's great.
No, that's great, Eddie. Thank you very much for speaking with us and giving us a bit of that background.
Yeah, and all the best. We'll see you at TT again.
Yeah, we'll do. See you then.
Best of luck, mate.
Yeah. That's a wrap for the weekend. All the races are finished. Last night we had rain all through the night. Morning warm-up this morning was slightly damp. We didn't have any extra rain today, so the track did dry out. Fortunately, because these bikes here don't run any different tyres for wet weather. It's the same tyres, so it's a 19-inch front and a 16-inch rear. And regardless of the weather, it's the same tyres, wet or dry. So I was pleased that it stayed dry today and we got 2 dry finishes. I won both races. Sam on the Buell, he's not here, but had his moment to shine in the last race, but cracked under the pressure and ran onto the dirt, so he didn't get to his opportunity to beat me on the Buell. So now we've got Sam here. I'd like to ask, how do you feel missing that opportunity to beat Josh Brookes?
It's disappointing. Ran out of talent, but a lot of fun all the same, and managed to keep it upright. So,
How did you feel in that moment when you overtook?
great.
Thanks for all the Lucchetti family for giving me this opportunity to go racing this weekend.
Yeah, good on you, mate.
Cheers, mate. But yeah, good fun all weekend, all round, and pleased everyone got away with a smile on their face.